Yeah, I think I'm gonna do more videos. I'm definitely doing more videos because I have stuff recorded and it's not just draft. So I'm gonna cover where I'm starting to disagree with a lot of these anti-democrats who have slid into just becoming Trump supporters, which I don't see the purpose. If Trump wasn't, let's say he wasn't this crazy Zionist, and let's say we were in a war of actual defense, or let's say like Trump actually had more policies that I prefer, then it would make sense for me to say I'm a Trump supporter. Like, I don't, let's keep him in office or whatever way you could support him. I could actually say that. And I'm talking about like Dynasty Mir, TD Hip Hop. Not even talking about someone like Tariq Nasheed, who rarely says anything that about Trump that he supports except for his I won't even say immigration. It's more like, well, I'd say immigration policy. Immigration policy, definitely. But I was even in favor of the deportations. And I still am, depending. But I gotta say, if that Kilmar, if that's an example of what a bunch of the other deportations are that fall under that enemy of the state category, I'm not with that. Because the evidence that they have of him being in a gang, to me, that's not enough evidence if you're going to say that they are an enemy of the country. I can make a better case that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are enemies of the country through Zionism than I could ever make about Kilmer going by their evidence. I'm like, okay, he beat up his wife. Okay, where are these pictures? Because like we live in a country where you can get a pretty low degree assault charge, because you can get assault charges. You can get misdemeanor assaults for nothing. And from what I understand, this is based on a protection order. You can get a protection order without, and when I say low degree assaults for nothing, I'm talking like you can just get in somebody's face. You know, you can throw a pencil out the wall. And I'm not even saying that's wrong. I mean, if you throw a pencil and it's in my direction and it's the wall, but if it's in the other direction and it's the wall, let me tell you, you can still get an assault charge. You can turn around, not facing the person, throw a pencil into the wall. So that's not really compelling if you have to jump to he beat up his wife. And I'm like, really? You guys lie about this stuff all the time. Both parties lie about this stuff all the time. So I'm like, okay, what's the other evidence? And it's just not compelling. Tattoos on his knuckles, and none of them are like straight up, oh, you know, I know what gang tattoos are. It's, I think another one they were saying about him was that he was wearing a Bulls hat. Not in Chicago, Latino wearing a Bulls hat. I mean, and plus, you got you got a union going to bat for him. Like, come on. If this dude is a gangster, he's not an enemy of the state gangster. He's one of them retired gangsters who has to check in with his boys. If he has a family, supposedly this wife he beat up, I guess he got another wife who's going to bat for him. Or it's the same wife. Nobody's saying he beat up his ex-wife. They're saying he beat up his wife when he has a wife. I don't know if it's the same person. And he has a wife, and that wife is actively saying, hey, this dude's not a gangster. So they're going against the woman who they're also trying to come up from behind and support. At least that's what they're putting out there, because they're not saying X. And I looked at I'm basing this off of what they put on the government website. They put the evidence that made the case for him being in MS-13 on a government website. I try to make it simple. Another issue I have is let's say Trump is right. He's really low-key MS-13 and he's scheming to destroy the country. And the union is wrong. Let's say that's the case. If that's the case, then I have no problem saying, hey, you know what? Maybe he was right. Maybe Trump was right and this dude should be deported. If you were to show me that type of evidence, this dude is really scheming to mess America up while he's working, paying at least front-end taxes, and making America better, oh MAGA person. If you really got that evidence, show me. Show me. And I will change my mind. I don't get the vibe that Trump can ever change his mind. Because we have a right-wing Supreme Court. They ruled unanimous. It might not be hard right. They're not all right, but they're unanimous. They're typically right-leaning. And they were unanimous that this evidence is weak. And Trump is fingers in ears, just like all the people that warned him that you cannot win with tariffs because you don't have the foundation necessary or the market to improve people's lives by making us more of a industrial blue collar nation, i.e. factory. Or he likes to talk about the whole, he's pushing coal mining. I mean, really, we should be pushing 4-day work weeks. If you're really pro-family, you right-wingers. And I could go into more detail because I actually wanted Trump to win. So this isn't coming from some blue no matter hooligan spirit at all. I wanted Trump to win. And simple reason is I read the Democrats as anti-black racist Zionists. I read the Republicans as anti-black racist Zionists. At least at the top of the party. You go further down the Democrats and I'm okay. Some of them don't take any money from Israel. I can't call them Zionists because they're offering everybody money. And if you're one key way you can tell somebody's not a Zionist is if they're not taking money from Israel. And you do have a lot of people who nobody knew about, who when they had the chance before it was a big run on, they were still signing HR 40. They were like, hey, if this, if you want internal popularity to push something, and that's how you can tell they really aren't about shit. Because if you want internal popularity to push reparations, it would have been more than and I'm kind of guessing right now, but it was at the most 35 people had ever signed HR 40 in 1 month. 0 Republicans. It was at the most 35. Then when we actually started pushing reparations, 2018, you're doing it before that to build up, but that's when it cracked, 2018. Then when we started pushing reparations, it went from like 30-ish to I think it was maybe 250, 150. I don't remember. I know it was the majority. It was a decent majority of Democrats in the House of Representatives. And then Cory Booker, who's also a Zionist, but gotta give credit where it's due, he created a Senate bill. And then you had some senators. It's not at the level of it's not win now mode, as I would say, to give the sports analogy that fits. So this isn't blue no matter hooligan stuff. I don't like them. I don't like the Democratic Party. But I know one thing. If you can make a flimsy argument that somebody is a gangster, it's not a good sign for Black Americans, because we always hear these flimsy arguments that we're gangsters. And you can kind of blame us for that, because not only are a lot of us gangsters, the ones that aren't are gang related, and will tell you that because they want to show how street smart they are. And I'll raise my end of that. I've done it because I'm hella gang related. And it does translate into me being street smart in a lot of ways. So I hear a lot of people doing that, and that's why it's easy to associate us with gangs. Even though, like I read from Kilmar, thinking full name Abrigo, Garcia, but like I read from him, we would have a lot of family going to bat for us the same way. We'd have our job going to bat for us, even if we weren't good at that. They would be doing it just to ham. We'd have like, it would be a big deal. And I don't think somebody in Trump's situation who takes money from a war criminal, and then turns around and funds a war criminal in the most corrupt way, and I'm talking about Milikowski, aka Netanyahu, I don't see how he can be this finger in ears, never admitting that he's wrong, arbiter, and I would ever support that for what he has the power to do if you let him set that precedent. I don't get why I would draw the line, and that's my issue right there with TD Hip Hop and with Dynas Tamir, or anybody that is anybody. And, and I don't really have to say that because I already outlined most Republicans. There's some Republicans that can see that this is that they'd just rather go with the Supreme Court. Hey, we overturned Roe v. Wade with this same Supreme Court, but we're going to go with Trump because they know what he's doing. He's using enemy of state laws to deport people who came here legally. Even though I don't agree with the law, it was the law. And a lot of them were coming here when Trump was president. It's not just, Biden's open door policy. So the hypocrisy is ridiculous.